Hi, welcome back to my channel, Jefferson and Friends. As promised, I shall introduce our church-owned earphone product, the Ziondaily today. So, before me, there is a Ziondaily 2, the Ziondaily 3, and also the metal box gift version of Ziondaily 3. However, before I unbox a Ziondaily, I have to explain what is a good earphone. As we are all not a tech guy, so we have to take some time to understand the basics. So today's video may sound a bit technical, but only through this way of presentation, I can help you better understand the mechanism and design behind Ziondaily and why it is the best earphone in town. Before we talk about the earphone, first of all, we have to understand what is sound. Briefly speaking, if there is a source of sound and when it vibrates, it pumps into nearby air molecules, which in turn pump into their neighbors, and so forth. So as a result, when a wave of vibrations travels through the air to the eardrum and undergoes the essential amplifications and transformations process, our brain can interpret signals from the inner ear as the sound we understand. However, not all sounds can be heard by us. It depends on the number of vibrations per second, which is known as the frequency, measured in hertz. For example, 1 hertz equals to 1 circle per second, so and the human hearing range is about 20 to 20,000 hertz. So what kind of process does music go through from the beginning when it is recorded until we finally hear it? Take the music CD as an example. In a CD, where some live recording music and sounds are stored digitally, it has to go through the digital to analog signal conversion before it can reproduce the sound waves. And through their vibrations in the air, become what can be heard by our ears. Of course, in the middle of this process, the audio equipment plays a significant role. As you can all imagine, if you are listening to an orchestra in a concert hall, surrounded by the melodious sounds of music coming from all sorts of instruments, from the lowest double bass to the highest second note. But when you get home only with a pair of ordinary speakers or earphones, how is it possible to reproduce the exact same experience that you had listening to the orchestra? So honestly speaking, the majority don't pay this much attention to their audio equipment. Not to mention, they may listen to music most often when they are in shopping malls, restaurants, or in their cars. So that's why when it comes to mixing for general musical work on the market, in order to accommodate the majority's audio equipment or where they listen to music, certain frequencies of sound in a song tend to be removed, and that is the reason why you can hear the original sounds of music. It also has to do with the fact that amongst different musical instruments, there is a certain overlap of frequency if you put them together. For example, the overlap between the bass guitar and the bass note of the piano or acoustic guitar. And they may cause some unpleasant noise if the speakers can't handle it well. So in terms of commercial considerations, it may be inevitable to remove certain overlapping frequencies when it comes to mixing. But in that case, the musical work itself is no longer a faithful recording of every instrument's full frequency spectrum. So in this some sense, there is the reason why we need a special designed earphone to enjoy the full range Ziondaily song. For Ziondaily song, since it's for free and without such commercial considerations, when it comes to mixing, the producer feels comfortable enough to keep the full range of all instruments and put it into every Ziondaily song. Because only through this way, a song can reproduce the beauty of the original song and give listeners a great sense of presence. One interesting feature is that with full-range mixing, the file size of each Ziondaily song is notably larger than other songs on the market. Of course, this is no longer a problem nowadays. But in the past, when the CDs were used, the producer could only put like 8 Ziondaily songs on each CD. In fact, for many years, there have been no earphone that can reproduce the full range of Ziondaily songs until a few years ago, the titanium membrane unit was invented. And that is the beginning of Ziondaily. The titanium membrane unit is developed by our church. It can produce sounds with a full range from 8 Hz to 28,000 Hz. So all kinds of sound can be heard by human ear is included. Also, this type of horn unit is unique in its ultra-thin, ultra-hard, and ultra-light materials. Not only can it vibrate more quickly, but also fix the sound, degeneration, and distortion issues caused by frequency collisions. So we can clearly hear the super crisp highs and ultra-deep bass at the same time. However, as the titanium membrane unit is extremely light, we have to deal with it with extra care and gentle techniques. So every soldering or gluing work needs to be done by hand with just the right amount of thin layer. So otherwise, it will affect the operation of the unit and its efficiency. And that's why all sound saws are handmade. So also when the unit vibrates, the earphone housing is supposed to resonate and vibrate. But for materials which are too hard, they will limit the resonance and thus affect the sound quality. So for the earphone housing, the best combination is a type of relatively thin plastic with metal-plated material. And this allows, for example, vocals, strings, and metal instruments to resonate in a more balanced and ideal way. The weakness, too, is the fragility of the kind of the earphone housing. So of course, many earphones in the market, which adopt material, metal or solid plastic housing, they are so hard that they won't be broken even after getting stepped on it. But at the same time, these materials significantly limit the resonance of sound and music. So after introducing the horn unit and earphone housing, I'm going to talk about the ear tips. As I mentioned before, sound is the vibration in the air that reaches our ears. So the best ear tips should be made of super light and soft material, as if holding the entire earphone up, and that's the exclusive skin ear tip for Soundsaw earphones. Finally, the earphone cable, which is also tailor-made for Soundsaw, are very thin cable but already combined with 10-aught pure copper wires inside, which is the best design, and materials for transmitting full-range music, and outer plastic layers is for maximum protection of the cable. So now, we shall understand why full-range earphones are not available in the market. Because considering all the dedicated handmade work and yet the fragility of the product, which manufacturer will produce such earphones. So of course, most customers won't buy that also because it's such fragile earphone either. So, but again, as Soundsaw is for free and without any commercial consideration, all it cares about is the performance of sounds and music, that we can enjoy our praise and worship completely. So in fact, when you put on the Soundsaw earphones to listening to some new song, you will experience that the singer isn't just singing in front of you, but he is singing in your head, and you will be surrounded by all the musicians and instruments. In other words, with Soundsaw, you are positioned yourself as the singer when playing a song. So today, we have finished up the technical side of Soundsaw. On the next episode, I shall unbox a Soundsaw and explain how you can get this handmade Soundsaw for free.